everybody. Welcome back to Surface Noise. My name is John, and for today's video I'm going to be featuring some of my favorite albums from the 60s. I'm trying not to repeat artists. I won't be repeating any artists, so there are albums where I like all their records or most of the records or more than one, so but I'll just be featuring one for each one. So we'll get started right now. Okay, so first of all, and these aren't in order of anything, this pretty randomly picked. So first of all, we've got from 1967, my birth year, the Doors debut record, an absolute classic. Now, I do like most of the Doors records, but I think I always come back to their debut. This is Electra Records here. It's just such a solid record. You know, it's and they were kind of unique in the fact that they just the way they were with you know, guitar, organ, drums, vocal, no bass player and stuff. So, well, some bass, but I mean, officially, Ray Manzarek was a organ and piano mainly. This does feature tracks such as Break On Through to the Other Side, a great way to start a record. It's awesome. Soul Kitchen, which is possibly my favorite song by them. Light My Fire, big hit, obviously. Backdoor Man, another big one, and The End. So yeah, this is an absolute classic record and definitely one of the best 60s records I own. So moving on to another 1967 classic. This is the Rolling Stones, Let It Bleed, right here on London Records. And as you can see, there, London Records. Great. You know, again, that's another band. How do you pick one record by them? But I went with Let It Bleed. Midnight Rambler, Gimme Shelter, Can't Always Get What You Want. I mean, just an absolute amazing record, and definitely top album of the 60s and of 67. What a great year that was. Next up, we're going off in a different direction a little bit here. 1965, John Coltrane, A Love Supreme. I think this is the only jazz one I included. It doesn't mean that that's the only jazz that's worth mentioning from the 60s. There's a ton, but I chose this one. Impulse Records. I mean, you know, everyone knows, I think this album is classic. McCoy Tyner on piano, Jimmy Garrison on bass, Elvin Jones on drum, and of course John Coltrane on tenor sax. But yeah, an awesome record, and one of the best jazz records I think of all time. So that's that one. Next up, we're going 1966. The Beach Boys, Pet Sounds. Yes, a great amazing record in not just songs, but in production and songwriting and everything. It was really revolutionary at the time, I think, and this was at the time when, I mean, everyone was trying to outdo each other. I think Beach Boys, Rolling Stones, Beatles, everybody was trying to do something big, and this was one of the albums I think that inspired a lot of people to try to go bigger and make more albums, instead of just, say, maybe having a whole bunch of singles mixed in with a record. This is I think more when they started to try to make full, complete pieces of art, you know. And yeah, this was, you know, of course we had the Beatles had a Rubber Soul, and Stones had their records too, which came out around the same time, and people were trying to make these albums, you know, as opposed to just albums with a few singles on them. So next up, this would be 1966 once again. Bob Dylan, Blonde on Blonde. My favorite Bob Dylan record. Amazing double album. Where do we see? On Columbia Records. Right there. This has an amazing array of classic songs. Rainy Day Women, number 12 and 35. Visions of Johanna. I Want You, Memphis Blues Again. My favorite Bob Dylan song probably is Memphis Blues Again. Just Like a Woman's on here. Sad-Eyed Lady of the Lowland. It's all good. It's amazing. This is why it's my favorite Bob Dylan record. Right there. Blonde on Blonde, 1966. Next up, Monkees. Headquarters. Yes, love the Monkees. One of my earliest musical discoveries when I was a young lad. And this is the first record where they really got to play the instruments and write the songs. It was, their first two records, they had songwriters and they had musicians doing a lot of the work. And finally they got a chance to do their own thing. So, 1967, and it has songs such as Randy Scousket was one I really liked. Forget That Girl. You may just maybe the one, a great Nesmith song. He always wrote great songs for them. It was really cool. Shades of Grey was another good one on here. For Pete's Sake. I think they used the For Pete's Sake actually as the closing theme on the show eventually. It wasn't there initially, but I think they added it in as the end credits song in the second or third season of that show. But next up, we're going 1967 again. And this is Pink Floyd, Piper at the Gates of Dawn. This is a Record Store Day release. I think this was 2018. And that's why it has a special packaging. And there's what the cover looks like, the original. This, I believe, is mono. Yeah, this is a mono pressing of it. This is an amazing record. I have the CD too. I've been listening to this record since I don't know when, forever. Columbia Records. Awesome. And it's Syd Barrett stuff. And yeah, it's actually the only Pink Floyd I have of the Syd Barrett era. And I would like to pick up the other stuff. Because I like both. I mean, they're both unique. When you listen to this stuff, the 60s Syd Barrett stuff, and then what they got into in the 70s with Roger Waters and David Gilmour kind of going off in a little different direction than what this other stuff was, but all good. Next up, we're going 67 again. Jimi Hendrix Experience. Are you experienced? Purple Haze, Manic Depression, Hey Joe. May This Be Love, Wind Cries Mary, Fire, Foxy Lady. Are you experienced? I mean, everything. Everything on here is awesome. What a classic. Reprise Records. Right there. Pretty nice. I actually have two copies of this. This is one of the copies, but I have like 3 Hendrix records, and all of them I have 2 copies for some reason. I don't know why. Next up, we're going, I think this is 68. This will be 1968. Johnny Cash, The Man in Black. Classic. Kind of a comeback for him, I think, when this came out, because he'd kind of gone down the drain, not down the drain, but I mean, he kind of fell off a bit when he came back. Did these concerts in the prisons. He also did San Quentin, but this is, I think, the bigger one. I like both. I think they both have amazing songs on them. Folsom Prison Blues, I Still Miss Someone. Cocaine Blues. Jackson with June Carter singing with him on that one. I Got Stripes. Yeah, I mean, it's just great. And this is great because you get to hear the reaction of the prisoners too, so it's pretty cool being, a live record. So it's on Columbia as well. So yes, another classic 60s record. And next up, we finally reach the Beatles. 1969, Abbey Road. One of my top Beatles records. It's up there. Certainly in the later period, that was my favorite. Earlier on, I might pick something else, but Come Together, Something, Here Comes the Sun, Octopus's Garden, that whole medley of songs they do on side 2 that ends with Carry That Weight in the end. Yeah, just an awesome record, and happy because this is a Apple label, my favorite. I much prefer it to the Capitol. I like the Apple ones. So that is Abbey Road, the Beatles. Moving on, some more late 60s material. This is Led Zeppelin debut record. Awesome record. I only have, I think, 3 Zeppelin records. That's something I'm working on. But Good Times, Bad Times, Babe, I'm Gonna Leave, and the whole, all 9 songs. Are they all the classics? You Shook Me, Dazed and Confused, Black Mountain Side, Communication Breakdown, everything on here. Robert Plant, John Bonham, Jimmy Page, John Paul Jones, just awesome. This is actually a UK pressing of this record too. It's kind of cool to have. Wasn't looking for that per se, but hey, I'm happy to have a different pressing. And yeah, great, amazing piece of vinyl. Amazing album. Put this away carefully. Atlantic Records, by the way, is what this is on. Led Zeppelin. Next up, a Canadian poet and legend, Leonard Cohen. This is Songs from a Room. Love everything Leonard Cohen does, whether it's actually music or writing. I think it's all amazing. This has Bird on a Wire, The Partisan, Seems So Long Ago, Nancy, and a number of other songs. The other ones I'm not as familiar with, but this, I mean, they're not as, as famous, not as obvious. All of his songs are great. More Columbia Records. They're putting out a lot of good stuff in the 60s. Oh, and this was, let me check my list, 1969. I think his first one was 67, if I recall. I have that as well. I just chose this one as my album for this list. Okay, so there you go. Leonard Cohen, Songs from a Room. We're almost done. The next one up, 1969. The debut record from the Stooges. Ooh, quite the glare on that, isn't it? There you go. That's good. Yeah, Iggy Pop and the Boys. This is the John Cale mix of this. This is from Vinyl Me Please. Oh, look at that. That's a great picture in there. So cool. Yeah, and it's like a reddish type of vinyl there on Electra Records, featuring 1969 and No Fun and I Want to Be Your Dog. So yeah, a very important record to have, and a great record to end off the 60s with. 69 was a very good year as well. And speaking of 1969 and great records, this is the last one of this list. This is Neil Young and Crazy Horse. Everybody knows This Is Nowhere. His second record, I think this is the first with Crazy Horse though. Cinnamon Girl is the first track, and Down by the River, what's a great song, man. Everything on here, again, Down by the River is good. Cowgirl in the Sand is just a long, nice, awesome, epic song. This is a great record. I'm glad I've managed to this is like a repress from way later, but it's just amazing. Need to have Neil Young as much as possible. More the better. So that, my friends, is a selection of 60s records that I like, that I have. I hope you enjoyed seeing these records. If you like this kind of thing, you can like and subscribe, and I would appreciate it. It helps grow the channel. I hope everyone's having a good day, and I will talk to you all next time.